What are you doing to teach your kids about money? And I thought I would pass this one on to Whitney to let her tell you in her own words what I've been doing to teach her about money.
Oh, what you've been doing, not what I'm going to do. Mm-hmm. All right. I mean, I think one of the biggest things is, having to do some of the stuff yourself. Like I have a debit card and I have a bank account that I manage most basically by myself. And I get to, the money that I earn goes in there, but I also get to spend that money. And there's like some restrictions, obviously, but I think the ability to give a little freedom helps you learn, even if you buy something that may not have been worth it or something, you kind of realize that. And so you learn from your mistakes more. And so it's worth a lot more to you if you personally have the freedom over it instead of more like rules and restrictions over it. And I think that helps prepare you more for when you're doing it completely by yourself.
That reminds me of a chapter from Alan Roth's book, How a Second Grader Beats Wall Street. And I think the title of the chapter is The Claw Takes Your Money. And it's talking about that claw game where you pick up the stuffed animals in the machine and how you never actually win anything in it and it just takes your money. I had an interesting experience with that yesterday with another kid when I explained to him, this was a 9-year-old, I believe, that the claw is just going to take your money. And he didn't believe me. He finally got his dad to give him $1 and he went and put it in the machine. And of course, he didn't get the stuffed animal and the claw took his money. But, sometimes losing money is a better teacher than doing the right thing with the money, right?
Right.
So what have your parents taught you about saving money?
We do like a lot of saving. There's a certain percent that we save for charity and certain percent that, I don't know. One thing I've noticed a lot with teenagers is people will be like, if we're making plans or something, people will be like, oh, I only have like $10 left in my account or something like that. And that always shocks me because I have like this safe zone for whatever reason where I'm like, oh, this is a good amount. I should always have this amount in savings in case something comes up or something happens. It was helpful for like Honduras where I could pull a little bit out of savings to help pay for that. And so saving money has been important to me because then I have it for when I need it in the future. And, I have accounts that have it invested, so it makes you more money in the future just for not touching it. And so I think a lot of teenagers could use that instead of just, oh, I have money, now I need to spend it. It's more of what's going to be most beneficial with this money.
So you say you have investments. What kind of accounts do you invest in?
I have a 529 education account. I have like my Roth IRA. I have my regular just like checking account. I have
you have a UGMA account.
Yeah, UGMA. I don't know what it's called. I know what it is though.
Okay. What is it?
That's like the stocks and bonds, right?
Okay, so there's stocks and bonds in all those accounts, right? Oh. You said you had a Roth IRA. What's the Roth IRA for?
That's the retirement account.
Okay, so what money goes in the Roth IRA?
Only money that I make. So technically, in our family at least, my dad will do a match for my Roth IRA. So I can still I have the same amount of money that I earn, but I give the money that I earn to my dad and he puts it in there and then he'll match it by giving me the same amount back.
The daddy match.
The daddy match.
So why is it important to save for retirement? Why does that matter?
I mean, if you start saving now, it's so much easier than having to worry about it in the future. If I save $100 now, then it's worth so much more in the future because it has more time to accumulate and grow interest.
So what is that money invested in inside your Roth IRA?
I believe there's like a Vanguard. There's a couple different not like stocks and bonds, but it's like a little piece of each company. And it's just like a Vanguard. I don't know the name of it, but it's like a stock or bond.
It's a mutual fund, right?
A mutual fund. I don't know the word.
A mutual fund buys what?
It has a teeny little piece of like all the companies, and so you get a little bit of money from all of the accounts.
Okay, so your Roth IRA is invested in one of the Vanguard target retirement funds, which is an investment that a lot of the listeners use in their accounts as well. And then you have a UGMA account that we call around here your 20s fund. So what is that? What's that money for?
That's for like all kinds of stuff because in like your opinion, it's much more helpful to have money in your 20s than it is in like your 70s. Things like that.
So it's your inheritance.
Right. It's
all the money you're going to get from me.
It's my inheritance, but it's a lot more helpful for like college or a wedding or a car or first house than it is for some cruise when I'm 65.
Okay. And then you got a 529, which is for what?
529 is the education fund. It's the money for college.
Right. So you got all these savings accounts. So are you learning? How do you learn about these accounts? What are your parents doing to help teach you about investing and these different types of tax advantaged accounts?
I mean, other than listening to Dave Ramsey on repeat. Yeah, no. When we turn on Dave Ramsey and everyone, you just hear like a collective groan, and then we have to answer so many questions correctly before we get to turn it off.
So is that helpful? Do you feel like you're more financially literate than your peers are?
Problem is, if I say yes, then you're going to keep doing it.
So clearly I'm raising a teenager here, as you can tell, but she has been noted at school on at least one occasion to be the only child in class who could tell the instructor what a 401k was. So clearly what we're doing is working. I'm not sure that we're perfect at doing it. We try to have an allowance. We try to talk about money. It's not a taboo subject. We let them manage their own money as much as is reasonable, and gradually introduce more and more concepts as we go along. How have your parents taught you to give money? What have you done to learn how to give money?
So every year we like have a set amount that we're going to donate to charity, and so we have a big meeting and everyone comes up with some charities they'd like to donate it to, and then we end up narrowing it down a little bit and deciding how much money we should give to each charity based on what each family member wants. And so we decide these charities that are things that are most important to us, and then decide how much money we can give them to help them. And so it shows that like we have it, that it's important in our family to give, but also give to things that are important to us.
So do you have as much say as your mother or your father in what charities are supported in any given year?
Yeah.
So do you feel like you have some power that you actually can make some decisions there?
Yeah, I think everyone in some things like where we're going to go eat or what we're going to go do for the day, we don't get the same like one parent vote is worth like 4 kids' votes. But when we're sitting down in this meeting and we decide where it goes, it's worth just the same amount as every person's opinion is. So,
well, thank you, Whitney, for going to Honduras with me, and thank you for being on the White Coat Investor podcast.
You're welcome.
My dad, your host, Dr. Dolly, is a practicing emergency physician, blogger, author, and podcaster. He is not a licensed accountant, attorney, or financial advisor, so this podcast is for your entertainment and information only and should not be considered official, personalized financial advice.